Okay, I'm
of.
back.
Yay. Please.
Okay, so I don't know what was said. I'm sure she gave you the brief rundown. But anyways, so Alberto, pretty much, yeah, you got contact. What was funny is I was talking to him about 2 weeks ago, and I got a hold of him on Discord, and I was saying, hey, we want to redo the interview because we actually had done it about 6 to 8 weeks ago, but we lost the original file, and it sucked because it was like almost 2 hours worth of recording we'd have to edit, but there's a lot there. Anyway, so I talked to him and I said, yeah, we need to redo it and we need to get something for air soon because we need time to fill. And he said, he goes, yeah, this is amazing. He said, this is perfect. I'm glad he lost the original file or it was damaged or whatever. And I said, why? He goes, he literally had got off the phone an hour before with some lawyers and people close to the state of the Uruguayan judicial system, and basically said, yeah, that his case has been well known and it's been talked about internally. He did not know this based on all the stuff he's been pushing out over the last couple of years. And that being the case, they said there's been a movement internally to make changes and that they had made a breakthrough and they're going to basically just change the way that they prosecute and judge these types of cases based on all the bullshit that happened with him. So it is a case that they cite frequently, supposedly, and it's multiple. I think it's multiple countries involved in this, not just Uruguay. Um, so he's basically, in a nutshell, changed the system for good. Like it will now be different because of what he went through and because he got his story out and it got well known, talked about, and so there's that. And the thing that doesn't get pointed out enough, I think, in Alberto's case is that he lost a lot of money. Like, remember he had his digital wallet, what
Yeah.
have
Oh,
you?
yeah. No. Yeah, that's a huge part of
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
he had over $1 million in crypto. That when he was returned his stuff from the state, it was gone, and they're just shrugged. They're like, I don't know where it is. Like the chain of custody was like there was missing paperwork and stuff. So basically, the state stole it from him, or somebody inside of the state. And so not only did he lose his job, he lost his relationship because his girlfriend was arrested too, and she was completely disheveled over it and just
I don't. Yeah.
out of.
The wallets were never returned. I don't think because they would have never been able to break those key
There was
phrases.
a
Those
bunch of
are.
I
stuff that
forget
wasn't returned. Yeah.
Yeah, it was there was something missing, and so in any case, he lost his freedom. He basically lost his career. You could say he lost kind of his just his mental stability. Of course, this is tragic, and then his girlfriend's gone. All these things that he had in his back pocket, and oh yeah, and he was early in the crypto loop, and it's since blown up, and he just has nothing to show for that. So it's tragic. And so when you think that guy lost over $1 million or more, anyway, that part was not really emphasized enough, I don't think, in his storytelling or retelling of his story. But now there is a civil movement. He was contacted by somebody else. They are pressing charges against the head of Interpol at that time, looking for restitution. So,
Oh, I knew there was an Interpol bit. Fuck. Fuck.
yep. So they're looking to get it's not a guaranteed thing, and it's going to take probably a year or more to go through the courts. But they're suing for damages, for financial damages. So that is big.
That is even more. That's much more than I described it as. I knew that. I said right at the end, I know there was an Interpol thing, but I didn't quite catch it because Alberto played the last segment of your interview with him into the space. But sometimes it can be hard to hear everything, especially if it's coming through from a different device or whatever.
Yes.
So,
yes,
and we were chatting this morning, and people just kept popping in, and it was just we just got detoured from it, and so I'm glad you've clarified that.
Yeah. So stay tuned on that one. But and will he get it all back? Probably not, but he could get some portion of it back, and that would be huge too. So in the end,
Well,
like
just even that win alone would set precedent, and then would make it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that would have major ripples. So.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's definitely
Even if it was
massively
like for
significant.
$1, Brice, think about then it shows the validity of the whole situation, and then that brings it to then the Netflix realm, etc. And that
And what
without a problem could be greenlit, I
and
believe.
what Aacia said that I didn't think about at the time that was perfect was she's saying, Alberto could be in like legal textbooks going forward. This case probably will be. And and as he
So
said,
versus well, who knows exactly.
well, as he said so kind of poignantly, he said when he exited prison, he was just an ex-convict with a cell phone, and that's where he started. And that the value is that anybody through his story, this is the compelling part, is that like if you've been wronged and you are patient and voice what happened to you through the proper channels, or anyway, he was anybody that would listen to him, that there is a chance you can change the system. One person can. And to be honest, and I told him in the interview, I said I didn't see this coming, because it's so low percentage, because he's basically fighting the government, and he could have easily shrunk up and said nothing and just tried to get along with his life, maybe try to expunge his record, which that did happen. But it'd be very easy just to kind of stay quiet and shrivel up in the corner. And he still struggles. We all know this. He has PTSD and other things over this. So he admitted in an interview, he said, I'm in therapy. I've been in therapy for years. It's going to take time. But yeah, I just think if he can get some kind of reasonable restitution here, and all these other changes stick in the system, that is a great story to be told. It hits all the major things that people want to see, in a Netflix or a.
Well, that's it. Yeah, just even the win alone gets that for him.
And I think actually as well, Brice, that, and this is no disrespect to Alberto whatsoever, but the way you've just articulated that was beautiful. And I think that's perhaps, he has this very emotional, when he does, he doesn't, he gets all funny. Oh, somebody else will tell you, blah, 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 in the space and that. But when he does get down to it, yes, he can tell his story beautifully. But the way you just articulated that, I think it's a real benefit to have somebody like yourself just summarizing it.
And I did that.
Yeah. No,
Thank you.
I'm just complimenting you. Yeah.
Between thee and me, I think he really enjoys people talking about his story.
Well, of course he does. I mean, well, yeah.
Well, it's important. Yeah, it's important, right?
It is important, absolutely. But it's helpful sometimes, and this is that you hear his story from other people's voices, in not his story, but like what Brice just described and told us what happened. See,
and it's recorded as well.
It's the impact. Yeah, actually, that's good. I'd really like to have
monetize that
clip just from there. That little speech from Brice
should
definitely be kept, because it's very authentic. It was, you could hear just. Yeah, I think it's important for all of us, actually. I think it's because we're good friends, and I much appreciated that.
Well, I mean, I already have. I mean, me and Ariel are gonna. The radio had already happened. Now the podcast there needs to be some adjustment.
No, I meant that bit in the space just a minute ago, actually.
No. What I was saying is that that we're going to modify the podcast edit, and we talked about adding a new intro and an outro, so that something like that might be part of the outro. And what I did during the interview too, to your point, was that Alberto does have a compelling story, but English is not his first language. And when he gets rolling, it's hard to keep. He's very verbose. So to kind of keep him contained, stay on the key points of the story and things like that, it was a challenge. And then further is what I would do is about every I don't know, 5 minutes or so, I would just reset and say, okay, so what you're telling me is, okay, Interpol showed up and blah, blah, blah. Because, he keeps going on and on and on and on and on. And he kind of goes down these tangents, because he's got a lot of detail, right? So I try to sum it up in my words and ask him, did I get that correct? And he said, yes. So we did it kind of in chunks,
Yeah.
Well, there's
No, I
that
think
one
that's
interview on
brilliant.
YouTube. That's the one that really summed it up for me well. And then, I mean, I'll wait. I can't wait to hear it. What,
Yeah.
is yours officially aired, Brice?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
it went out. It aired on Thursday morning, and it was. They got callbacks at the radio station.
Can I pull
Yeah.
that? Is that like on the?
Yeah. It's in.
Yeah,
It's
Aacia
on the
sent me the
archive.
link actually. I'll
Yeah,
send it
just
to
look
you.
up WPKN archives,
Okay, cool.
and then Google search that, and it should take you to the spot on their website. It's a little clunky, It's community radio.
Yeah,
Their
yeah.
website isn't, but if you look at Thursday at the 2:30 a.m. slot, so it's the overnight, but 2:30 a.m. on Thursday, you'll see Radio Uninvited, and it's a 3.5 hour segment. And if you just scrub forward, because you can on that archive, scrub forward to an hour into the show, he takes over, or 30 minutes in. The first 30 minutes is a different interview that Bob Johnson did, and then at the top of the hour, it's Alberto for a full hour too. So we usually only do 30-minute segments. So
Okay.
we had so much material with them, and we told Bob, it's like, this has to be an hour. Like, really, we could talk to him for hours. So anyway, yeah. So it's good. So, but I'll have it up on the podcast too, probably in the next couple days. So if you don't like the archive for whatever reason, it'll be on the podcast.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah.